All right, welcome into KC Sports tonight, Monday, July 13th. Sad day. Well, technically yesterday was the first sad day because yesterday was kind of the end of World Cup summer here in Kansas City, even though there are still 4 more matches to be played, 2 semifinals, a third place match, and of course the finals. But we still have a lot to look forward to with this World Cup, even though FanFest is being torn down as we speak. And there's a lot less fanfare around. That's because we have 2 teams still base camping here in KC that are playing each other in the semifinals. But before we talk about that, Gabe, we should talk about what got them to this point, and that was Saturday's quarterfinal matches between Norway and England and Argentina taking on Switzerland. What did you think? What were your takeaways big time from each matchup?
So I listened to the England and Norway game.
Yeah, weren't you off and having fun this weekend?
I was in Illinois for a wedding that was on Friday evening. So I was driving back to Kansas City on Saturday afternoon and
some old-fashioned radio. Yeah, so I like it.
No, I had the game broadcast on, and I just was listening to it. So I can't say I watched the game, but I listened to the game, and I would say that I found it interesting, the post-game comments of England's manager of feeling like they didn't play very well, feeling like they tactically were not great, because it did seem like a very even game, and it felt like England responded accordingly when Norway was playing pretty well to get through things. And then Jude Bellingham comes out after the game and basically said that he didn't agree with Thomas Tuchel, that the way that he assessed their play, he was like, it was crazy hot in Miami. It was nearly 100 degrees or over 100 degrees with the heat index. And you're playing against Erling Haaland, and you're playing against a Norway team that is well put together, and they got through it. And then I was home for Saturday night and able to watch the Argentina game, and I felt like the biggest thing you can say about that whole game is that the red card of an accumulation of 2 yellow cards changed the complexion of the game, because Switzerland felt like they were getting some better chances. I still think whether it was 11 on 11 or Switzerland playing a man down, it became pretty apparent once they got the tying goal that their best path to victory was going to be doing what they did to Colombia and slowing it down and just holding on, trying to get to penalty kicks and win the coin flip of penalty kicks. And Argentina was able to get the 2 goals in extra time and advance on, even though I don't think that they played up to their best. And I don't think they've played up to their best in any of these knockout games, which is either the scary thing for England or maybe the concerning thing for Argentina heading into Wednesday.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because going into that match, Mark Palos and I did a little 15-minute streaming talk back here, and we kind of spent half the time comparing Argentina to the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's kind of funny to hear you say they weren't playing up to their potential, because it's like, oh my gosh, just another comparison there with the Kansas City Chiefs. So that just made me laugh for a second. But yeah, and I think a big thing that goes into that when it comes to a team like Argentina is similar to what we frequently say about the Chiefs, is that when you establish yourself as a team to beat one of the top teams in the world, in your league, and whatever, other teams are going to give more than they would maybe give to another team. And it's not always like an intentional thing. It's just like an intensity thing that comes as a competitor. So I think that's also kind of part of it, is that a lot of these teams want to knock off the reigning World Cup champions. And so they probably just find themselves, without even realizing, trying harder than they would against maybe another opponent. And that's kind of how we've seen it go down with first Cape Verde and then with Egypt. And then, I mean, Switzerland was one of the sneakiest top teams in this tournament because no one realized how good they were going to be defensively. They had one of the best defenses in this tournament. And that really showed for all of regulation in this game against Argentina. It just got away from them in extra time when they're already a man down. So Yeah, I mean, as someone who was at the Power and Light watch party when Switzerland tied the game 1-1, for the rest of the game, it was, you could kind of hear a pin drop like at Power and Light. If like the broadcast wasn't on, like no one was really talking. Like it was very like everyone was kind of on the edge of their seats. There wasn't much chatter that I could hear going on. So that was kind of a big takeaway for me, was that like they were very nervous. And then, of course, very different story going into extra time for that. But yeah, I'm excited that it's Argentina and England. It's bittersweet that both can't make the finals because we have obviously grown love for them as our base camp teams here in KC. But Argentina definitely gave us one heck of a final World Cup game in Kansas City. I think everyone would have loved to see Messi score one more goal, of course, after his first hat trick in the first game there. But it was a pretty good follow-up, an extra time thriller with 2 goals in the final 8 minutes of the game. Yeah. So yeah, shout out Argentina for helping World Cup summer end with an exclamation point in Kansas City. Gabe, what will you remember the most about World Cup summer here?
Man, there was so much. It just felt like I can't believe it's only been a little over a month. That so much happens in such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
That to feel like the hat trick against Algeria does not feel like a month ago. It feels like last week or 2 weeks ago. And I think that goes to show how quickly it all moves. Even though there's so much going on, I would just say that we talked so much going into the tournament about all the people that would come to Kansas City, and specifically the FIFA Fan Fest area, the Power and Light, being in those places at different times throughout the tournament and for different matches. I was not in downtown Kansas City for the day that Netherlands played in Kansas City, but seeing the visuals of that, just the expansive nature of how large of an event it was, and that on any different match day in Kansas City, you had such a wide variety of people being in our area, and that it was not just, the same old each match day. Like each game had its own different tenor. It had its own different personality. And that's even despite the fact that several of the matches included the same teams. So that's, I guess, what I would remember from like the Kansas City perspective of it. And then I guess what we'll remember from the remainder of the tournament and the overarching themes of like what the U.S. did in the tournament and such. We'll see how time tells with that in a couple of years, I guess.
Oh, the U.S. men's national team. Yeah, my main takeaway from the last 4 weeks is kind of similar. With just, I loved seeing how the world fell in love with our city, and it, like, if you check so many different national media outlets, Kansas City became the darling of the World Cup. Like, everyone's talking about how the smallest host city was one of the best host cities. And that's because it doesn't matter how many people live in your city. If they're not passionate about soccer, you're not going to get the same experience. And this is a city that's unique in its right of the way that it's set up makes it possible for so many different watch parties and so many different things to make people feel like they're in this smaller community for the time being. And I think that was one of the most fun things to watch. Was like, this was the week before Colombia and Ghana played in the round of 32. Colombia had a match before Austria and Algeria played that Saturday night, and Colombia fans took over Power and Light. They didn't have base camp here. They hadn't had a game here at that point. They didn't know they would have a game here at that point. But Power and Light got taken over by hundreds of Colombia fans. And that was a similar, I met so many people who were fans of teams that were not playing in Kansas City. Like, we were going live at one point, and we're right by McFadden's. Was it Hooley House? I think it might have been Hooley House. But they have like the outdoor tables right by the stage of Power and Light. And this group of guys see Mark and I with the camera. So everyone's talked to when you have camera, of course. And they ask us what we're doing and like who we work for. And I ask where they're from. They were from like Mississippi. And they just wanted to, and they were Germany fans. One of them was a fan of a team that was playing that day, but the other two were fans of completely different teams that had nothing to do with anything Kansas City. And they were like, we just heard that this might be a fun place to like watch the World Cup. So we're road tripping a few destinations. We don't have tickets for the game or anything. Like, people chose to come here just because they heard it was a sports crazy town that was also full of nice people. I think a lot of that we have Patrick Mahomes and company to thank for kind of putting KC on the map years ago as a sports town, but we could talk about that for 30 more minutes. But yeah, that was kind of my favorite part, was just watching Kansas City become the darling of the tournament. And watch some other cities in America get mad that they weren't. So yeah. Take that, Denver. All right, on to the World Cup semifinals. France and Spain, for the first time ever, we're going to have the top 4 ranked teams taking on each other, ranked by FIFA, of course, taking each other on in the semifinals. First, it'll be France and Spain tomorrow, and then it'll be, of course, Argentina and England on Wednesday. Gabe, we'll start with France and Spain. I have a feeling who you're going to say. I also probably will say the same team because I think everyone just thinks France is the best team in the world by a mile. That's my pick in this game. Who you got?
I am also picking France. I think it's been pretty apparent since the group stage that France has been the best team in the world and that they've been the best team in this tournament, even though I believe the FIFA World Rankings still have Argentina number 1 just because they have not been dethroned. I actually think that if you look at the remaining 4 teams, Argentina is playing the worst of the 4 and has had the easiest path just because nobody thought Cape Verde was getting out of that group. And like, I think most people thought that was going to be Uruguay in that round of 32 match. That didn't end up happening. Egypt is solid, but even Mo Salah, who might be a future Sporting KC member, who knows, he's much like Lionel Messi, one of the older guys in the tournament, one of the players who is best on their team, even though they are still one of the oldest players. So Egypt's not some crazy world beater. They don't have some crazy history of dominating in the World Cup. And then Switzerland, like you mentioned, it kind of came out of nowhere in terms of being a quarterfinalist and hadn't been to a World Cup quarterfinal in decades.
Years.
Yeah, so I don't think that Argentina has necessarily had the toughest test. England has gotten to play Norway. They had to go on the road and win
at Mexico.
in Mexico City against Mexico. And even Spain, I think that you can say Belgium is a better team than Switzerland. I personally think that. So I lean France, and but I think that we're probably getting. I don't know. I think England is playing better, but it kind of feels like everything just keeps working out for Argentina.
Yeah.
And so I would say that
don't put your tinfoil hat on, Gabe.
No, I'm not.
He's drinking the Kool-Aid.
I think that dive on Saturday night was absolutely atrocious.
It was absolutely a dive. It wasn't
horrible. Even touched.
It was horrible. It wasn't good.
And it was a deserve. I don't know if I love the rule being the way that it is, but that's the rule.
We have to
and
kind
we're trying
of
to
appreciate
legislate dives out of soccer. So
yeah,
there you go.
We kind of have to appreciate the fact that soccer is one of the only sports that actually penalizes you for flopping.
Them and hockey.
Yeah.
So there's that. I don't know. We'll see. But France and Spain should be a battle. I don't know how I feel about the mid-afternoon semifinals. Yeah. We're having the tournament in the U.S. I feel like we should bend to our prime time, but
it stinks because
I know that
it's like
England and the Europe people are
like Germany, France, that whole area of Europe. They are 6 hours ahead of the Eastern time zone, so they're 7 hours ahead of us here. So I'm like, I get it because we wouldn't want to watch a semifinal game at 3 a.m. So I guess I get it. but we're allowed to not like it.
Yeah, especially when it's a Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon.
Yes.
But, that it is what
Take your PTO.
It'll be, I'll have it on while I'm here at work the next 2 days.
Same. Well, and we'll have, I'm sure the newsroom will be reacting to it. And I think that'll be kind of a funny thing, like probably in workplaces across the country type thing that'll be happening.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. But Argentina, England, I like what you said about England being more battle tested, because I think they are. Going into Estadio Azteca and ending Mexico's best World Cup run ever when they're a host city, that was not easy to do. And then they take on Norway, which kind of became the darling team of the tournament, and Erling Haaland becoming maybe the biggest breakout star to the world, and all of America fell in love with him. They were no joke either. So I definitely think they are more battle tested than Argentina. I think it really will just come down to, like, Messi had an assist on Saturday night, but we didn't see him score a goal. So I think it just comes down to, what can Messi do?
Yeah. And I don't know. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm not, my predictions have been,
we're such experts.
Yeah. I just am fascinated
Roger
by
Espinosa, where are you?
The drama of it. And also that the bigger the game gets for England, the more it feels like there's so many different teams in American sports where it's like the idea of them losing in a big moment really fires people up who don't like rooting for them. And that, I think, is what a lot of Europeans feel towards England.
Yeah.
That we have now reached the official, like, danger zone. Like, this is the perfect. They have gone far enough that now losing would hurt their fans enough that the sports masochists who like to see people get their hopes up and have the hope. It's the hope that kills you. That's where we're at for England now. So we're towing the line, and we'll see if they can get it over the hump and finally win one.
Yeah. England has not been to the World Cup final since they won it all for the first and only time back in 1966.
Yeah.
They took down Argentina in the quarterfinals that year to get there. That was kind of the first game of a very long and heated rivalry over the years, but the two haven't faced each other in 24 years. Messi has never faced England. So a lot of interesting storylines with this rivalry that I feel like we're all kind of learning for the first time in these few days how big of a rivalry it is and how much history there is there. So it'll be exciting, another fun component, and either way, we are going to have a Kansas City team, base camp team, in the World Cup final. Yep. So that'll be exciting. I hope both teams have fun because we've grown to love them. And that's what I'm going to say on that. We're going to talk a little bit of Royals before we move on because the first half of the Major League Baseball season is over. The All-Star break is this week. The game is tomorrow night. Tonight is the Home Run Derby. More on that in a minute. First, we will talk about the final series of the first half, which was out in Baltimore. Ended with some drama. Lights out Lucas Erceg hitting Blaze Alexander with a pitch. The bullpen's cleared. Everyone storms the field. We watched the Royals struggle to get the outfield gate open. If you were watching the Royals TV broadcast, which Mark and I got a really good laugh out of for about 5 minutes as they're trying to just get out there with the rest of the team. So there was some drama out in Baltimore, which almost feels so fitting as a way to end the first half of a bad season for the Royals. Gabe, where are you at with the Royals now that we're at the halfway point?
Well,
quick thoughts.
I would say that we're no stranger to Kansas City and Baltimore fights, and that's despite the fact that this has nothing to do with what happened more than a decade ago when Baltimore and Kansas City used to get into it. They played in the ALCS in 2014. Giordano Ventura and Manny Machado did not like each other for a good portion of time, and there was some actual malice or intent behind pitches that hit people at that time. I don't think, and I saw Vinny Pasquantino's comments today.
Yeah, if you guys want to laugh, go search the Vinny and Blaze beef on Twitter.
And Vinny Pasquantino made an astute point that I don't think that Lucas Erceg was trying to hit a guy in a 1-2 count in a game where they were losing.
Yeah.
And
you gain
what is there to gain out of throwing at someone in that situation, and what point would that serve when there wasn't previously some wrongdoing between the two? I think that was pretty nonsensical. I don't know what the temperature was in Baltimore on Sunday. I was not watching the game live, so I'm not up on it. But I will say,
I'll tell you, it was hot. My parents lived near there.
Okay, so if it was hot, sometimes people get upset when bad things happen to them, and
you're already miserable. You're already sweating.
So late in the afternoon, you've been out there for a long time. You get hit by a pitch. Maybe you're frustrated that you might be injured in some case. So I guess there's that frustration. But it's also just two teams that haven't been good this year.
Yeah. Beefing
with each other. So
that's
July baseball. That's July baseball. And everybody involved who is not Bobby Witt Jr., Michael Wacha, Jac Caglianone, Pete Alonso, Gunnar Henderson. Get your vacation early this week. Have some time.
4 days off.
Get out by the pool. Enjoy some time off. Be around the family a little bit. And,
do some
and
yoga.
Let's move on.
Deep breaths. Yeah.
It's all going to be okay.
And the great news is when the Royals come back from the All-Star break, you can watch them right here on KCTV5 this Friday night. They will be at home. I think it's supposed to be good weather, so it should be good. I've kind of lost count of what our record is when the Royals are on our air. They were winning for a while. They might have gone back to 500. I've got to look into that. We were boasting that for a while. I don't know if that's true anymore, though.
I believe it's 3-2.
We're 3-2. We're back above 500. Look at that.
Don't quote me on that, but I believe it was 2-2, and then they crushed the Cardinals.
Nice.
So
the Royals on our air. It's always a good luck charm. And tonight, Jac Caglianone has a big night out in Philly the night on the eve of the All-Star game. He is going to be in the Home Run Derby. He's batting third in the lineup tonight, which starts at 7 o'clock. You can only watch it on Netflix, but we'll have highlights for you tonight at 10. So you can always see how Cags did there. How do you think Cags is capable of making a big splash in this game?
Yes. But
Derby?
The Derby is always one of those things where it's like, I could see any of these. It used to be pretty apparent there was like one or two people involved every year, and you're like, that guy doesn't have the swing for the Derby. When there was the clock and it was an endurance test, and you would pick somebody and you're like, okay, well, that guy, he doesn't have, it takes a lot of him to get the ball out of the ballpark. I don't think he can just routinely do it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Certain people you would pick out. But of the 8 guys on the list, none of them stand out to me as like, oh, that guy clearly has no chance. Mm-hmm. And Kyle Schwarber's involved, Bryce Harper's involved, so they're going to have the crowd behind them. Their swings fit the ballpark. Yeah. Jac Caglianone has easy power. I think that the only way to win a home run derby where there's 2 guys on the home team involved is you've got to do something special to get the crowd behind you and help you out. So
yeah,
he has
the power,
a good chance.
Yeah.
He can win this thing, and I can't wait to watch it. The Derby is so much fun to watch.
Yeah, and it's such a fun way to start, All-Star festivities and everything. But it's exciting because, I remember a few years ago when Bobby Witt Jr. almost won it all. And it was a very exciting time for Royals fans who hadn't seen something like that happen since Salvi did it years ago. I don't even know what year that was. 2021.
Yep.
So, yeah. It's exciting that the Royals will have a prominent figure on a national stage. It's always good for the Kansas City Royals when they have someone representing them at that level who has an actual chance of reminding people, hey, our team is bad this year, but look at this young guy who was our number 1 prospect who's already in the home run derby in his first full season in the majors. So, exciting time for Cags. We are obviously hoping that he makes a big splash and maybe wins it all because he's got the power to do it. It's what we've wanted to see from him forever. He hit 9 home runs in the month of June alone. He's been on a real big hot streak lately. So, we are excited to watch Cags tonight. And last but not least, before we go, we have about 2 minutes to talk about the AP NFL rankings that came out today, which have, after the Chiefs did not make the postseason for the first time since 2014. We used to say that stat all the time 6 months ago, and now we just haven't said it in so long I forgot. Andy Reid was still named the NFL's best head coach, and Patrick Mahomes was named the number 2 quarterback behind only Josh Allen. What does that say about the Chiefs after a down year that they're still up? Andy Reid's still being named the best head coach.
I think Andy Reid's getting a little more respect than he maybe deserves for the state of his current coaching level. And I think Patrick Mahomes is getting disrespected for the problems that surround him that have brought him down.
Yeah.
I will also say that I saw an ESPN ranking today, and it had Mahomes second. It had votes from coaches around the league. At least one coach voted him 9th. And I will say this, there are a lot of people who say, oh, you can only have opinions. Your opinion only matters if you have played, coached, or been involved. And that is evidence that you can be around the game and still be really stupid.
And be really biased, probably. I would love to know.
I don't know who it
was.
It was all anonymous.
I would love to know which coach.
If you are employed by an NFL team and you think Patrick Mahomes is the 9th best quarterback in the NFL, you're not a very smart person.
No. We get into all the magic he's made with bad receivers over the years. I mean, he won a Super Bowl with a trio that I'm not going to name because I don't want to make it even sad today. But y'all know who I'm talking about. So that's just getting us excited for training camp, which starts in less than 2 weeks at this point. So things to look forward to. Hoping that the Chiefs get back to the postseason this year. Of course, one can only hope and dream. All right, that's going to do it for us here on KC Sports Tonight. We'll see you at 6 and 10 on KCTV5 News. Thanks for joining us. Bye.